other prints for sale if you see one that you
Oh, and there's books for sale.
And there's books, and there's food that's free that I would like you to eat, because a lot of the food that I bought is food that I don't eat. And there's like wine, which I can't drink because I'm from Pittsburgh. So it's against everything about who I am. I was going to talk about the photographs themselves, but to be honest with you, I'm still in this space of not wanting to talk about this project. This is all part of a book that will be a special edition book that will be coming out ideally in January, of a series of photographs, a large format book with a theoretical essay, but I don't fully understand, and I don't even partially understand this project yet. So I'm still like so far in this gray space that I don't want to speak of it too soon, because I fear speaking of it too soon will erase what it is that I'm doing. But these are photographs. But so I decided I would read from a new book that just came out in Germany. I'm going to read it in English, right? So, so you don't have to worry about this. But this is from the Academy's Plot Solitude, where I've been staying for the past 3 years and working on my new book, Here Lies Memory, and my other new book, Daughters of the Rivers. And these photographs, most of these photographs are from Stuttgart and from Paris, and some of them are from San Francisco and Pittsburgh. So the whole project is bringing together all these photographs, and because the project is so intimately connected with Solitude and with this particular book project that they did in Solitude, I thought it would make sense to read from this. And the other part of the project is all my new work has to do with gentrification and with what rich, predominantly white people do to, especially to African Americans and to black people in America. And so my new books are all about how the city of Pittsburgh, which is my city, my home, is being erased by the desires of white people not to see black people. I grew up in one of the most racist cities in the world. And San Francisco now has predominantly erased black people. So like, it's just non-existent. So like, there's just all this erasure going on. And as I was writing these novels, I started realizing that these books are about all these people being erased. And as I was taking these photographs, I was thinking all these people are disappearing in these photographs. So there's something about appearance and disappearance, which obviously I've written a great deal about in my career, and also something about the structure of a city and what happens to the stories of a city. So the Academy's Plot Solitude has just had their 25th anniversary. So they invited a bunch of us artists who have been to the Academy to write a short piece about our hometown. So this is an atlas of all the artists who have been at the Academy, and we each wrote one page about our hometown. So my page is about Pittsburgh, and it's part of my new book, Daughters of the Rivers, and it has a photograph from the city of Pittsburgh. This photograph, what's important about this photograph is, this is a photograph of a house, of a home. And when I was a youngin', I used to sit on these stoops, and then we would go in this house and do things which I can't talk about in public, but we did things, which made me the writer I am today, and the man that you've all fallen in love with so deeply and respected for so long. But I am very sorry for the things I did in this house. Okay, is that clear? I've been to confession, I'm Catholic. So, the other thing is, you see the house that's not here, right? You do, because it's not there. Jason's like, yeah, well, he's a poet, so he's like, yeah, I see the house. Like, some of you are high, so I get it. Yeah, I see that house. I've been in that house. That house is there. The one that the rest of the people cannot see. Yep. This is August Wilson's birth. This is where he was born. The greatest, one of the greatest playwrights in America. His house is gone. You know, and now across the street, which you cannot see because it's not in the photograph, across the street is this high school, Fifth Avenue High School. And it's where I used to play basketball when I was a kid, you know, and it's an all-black high school. And they've now converted this high school into condominiums for all white people. So it's an all-white condominium building, surrounded by a high fence and barbed wire to keep these people out of there. So this has been bothering me for a year. Every time I go home, I see more and more being erased and more going and more gone. And this is my home. This is Pittsburgh. And people who didn't grow up in Pittsburgh moving into Pittsburgh with their own desires and taking away my city. So a lot of my project is, when I was very young, I read James Joyce. And one of the things that Joyce said was, when he wrote Ulysses, he said he wanted somebody to be able, if anything ever happened to Dublin, they could rebuild the city by reading Ulysses. So I'm doing that with my trilogy, the Pittsburgh trilogy. So I'm writing 3 books. John Edgar Wideman, another hero of mine from Pittsburgh, has written a thing called the Homewood trilogy. And you can build Homewood. You can rebuild this place if you read John's book. So I want to be able to rebuild, especially the north side of Pittsburgh, which they changed. The other thing you do, if you want to change what a place is, you give it a different brand name. So the north side now is called, in Pittsburgh, is called the North Shore. And on the North Shore, there's PNC Park where the Pirates play baseball, and there's Heinz Field where the Steelers play football. And every time I go home, there's another block that's been erased at the north side and the North Shore. So no one would ever, like my sister would never go to the north side, but she now goes to the North Shore. They even have a bike trail. And you have no idea how offended I am by this, because it's along this amazing river called the Allegheny River, and where I used to hang out when I was a kid, and it's all going. And no one has these stories anymore. They're just gone. So it's my job, and that's the only reason to write, is to keep alive what is necessary to keep alive. Any other form of art is bullshit. So you don't make art to make money, which I've accomplished very well. I've made no money. Not even tonight, when I have books for sale. And prints. I could leave this place really, really rich. And I would like to retire early. You have no idea. Well, some of you do. But I can't speak about that, because that would be somehow wrong. Instead, I will write about it, and that will be somehow painful for some people. I'll shut up and read, which again is a conundrum. But so this is a short passage I wrote for this, and you can buy this book as well, just not tonight. Gentrification is not something that is just done to a city; it's done to a man's soul. When I returned to Pittsburgh, the city where I was born, raised, and nearly died once or twice, the city whose streets I wandered, whose rivers I slept along, where I discovered desires that perhaps should have only been explored in dreams, I always devote one day to walking the streets of the north side and to sitting on the steps of the closed down abandoned Apache bar, which is the greatest bar in the world. Okay, because when you walk into this bar, you're not allowed to talk. You can only drink, because it's a bar. And you don't have to tell them what you want to drink, because they only have one thing: beer. And they only have one kind of beer: beer. And there are no adjectives that come in front of beer. No craft beer, where they can charge you $2 more for a bottle because they put an adjective in front of it. Just beer. The only adjective that should go in front of beer is beer. Beer. You understand that? Write that shit down. I teach you things, because it's Saturday night and you're walking around drinking wine and going to art.
No beer.
But no beer, I know. I would never give you guys free beer, man. That's just in my car. I sit there at the Apache bar and I wait, as if nothing has changed. I know that eventually Willie will find his way down Perry Hilltop or across Allegheny Park and sit his weary bones down beside mine and begin telling stories. Willie never cared who was sitting on these steps. Truth be told, Willie did not even care if anyone was sitting there when he sat down. He simply started talking to himself, to feral cats, to passers-by, or to the ghosts of Pittsburgh past. When I was young, Lynn and I often stopped and listened to his voice rise up out of the concrete of the sidewalk. Story after story, song after song. His voice is, for me, as much of what Pittsburgh as much of what makes Pittsburgh what it is as any of the buildings or those two rivers flowing to a confluence to form the Lonely River that leaves the city. When Willie was a young boy, his grandfather walked him up to house after house between Cedar Avenue and East Street, and between Brighton Road and Federal Street, and he told Willie the story about those houses, who built them, who lived in them, what the families did, and what had been done to these families. And when he took Willie back to those same houses a week or two later, he had Willie repeat the story. You have to know where you come from, to tell his grandson, or you can't ever know where you're living. Willie told me of a day when his grandfather pulled him through a foot of snow to the red brick house on the corner of Moravia and Sussman Street. He took Willie's little boy hand and placed it on one of the bricks. I put that brick there, he told Willie. And then he put Willie's hand on another brick and said, that one too. But not that one there, he said as he pointed to the brick above the one Willie pressed his hand against. That one, Joey Peterson did. He was working beside me when we built this house. The Coopers moved into it after we finished building it. Now Mrs. Bryant and her 3 children live there. Willie told me he could put a name to every brick of every house on the north side. About 3 years back, Willie sat with me on these steps, looked into the palms of his hands, and he said, you want to destroy a man, you tear down what he built for his family. And you tear it down like it never even mattered. It should take men as long to tear a house down as it took a man to build it. Imagine if they had to take houses down brick by brick, plank by plank, instead of bringing in bulldozers and cranes to demolish them. I bet they'd think twice before building a road through our neighborhood and calling it a renaissance. And you can't never truly erase a home. It's like trying to own a river, direct a river to flow the way you want it to flow. Like a river doesn't have memories, like it won't flood and find its way home someday.